Are you making buying a home a little bit harder than it should be? I'm going to talk about that now. Hey everyone, my name's Jamey Prezzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, and I'm going to talk about a topic that is kind of important, especially when it comes to buying a home. And sometimes it's not always so easy for people to actually pull the trigger and to move forward with buying a home. So I want to pose a question to you. If you've been looking at real estate for some time, are you making buying a home a little bit harder than it really needs to be? And I'm going to talk about some things to think about so maybe you can get over that hump and move forward with your purchase and move on with your life. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another update. We do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in our information box and download our free relocation guide. We do put out newsletters all the time, so if you would like to subscribe to our newsletter, you can also do that as well. Okay, let's get started. Have you been looking for like 6+ months and you've never found a property? Maybe you need to make some adjustments, unless you're only looking in one specific area. Sometimes I have some buyers who are just really hyper focused on several streets and houses don't come up there that often. Okay, that can take, a year or two, maybe more to find a property. If you've been making offers, you've been out there looking a lot and just nothing is working, it's really time to sit down and regroup and reevaluate what's going on because something is definitely off. Most of our buyers buy within a 6-month period, and if something is not happening within that time period that makes sense, something's off. You got to figure out what's going on. Market data. If you know anything about the way Ognjen and I work, we are really heavily focused on market data. And we always look at properties based on what has sold over the last 6 to 12 months. And then we get the data from there because if you are very interested in a property, we will look at price, condition, and location and pull the most comparable properties that have sold over the last 6 months to give you an idea about how much a property may be worth in today's market. Some people, they like to go way back to when properties were really more affordable than today, and they cannot get over what the prices are today. If that's you, you may have a very hard time buying in this market. It's always important to go back and have a look at what has recently sold over the last 180 days, because that's typically what appraisers use as well. And use the most comparable properties that have sold and make your offers around that. I'm not saying you have to offer what the price is listed at right now, but you should be making offers around that. And then also look at the data. What do homes typically list for in that area and then sell for off the list price, if at all? And then if you are making a lot of lowball offers, you may have a really hard time buying in today's market because based on that data, that's where you will kind of get an idea if you're making good offers or not. I mean, okay, sometimes maybe somebody will bite and take your offer, but I think that definitely makes home buying harder than it should be when you're not making offers around what properties are selling for based on the market data. One thing that could be making it harder to buy than it really needs to be is your significant other. Or if your parent is helping you purchase a property, maybe it's them. And I know that that is sometimes a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes I find that parents really want to be helpful, but they don't really want you to buy. They don't want to disappoint you, and they want to say that they want to help you, but maybe they're not really in the position to help. Or sometimes some significant others are just not in the right frame of mind to buy. Maybe one person really wants to, but the other one is just not quite there yet. Buying a property is a very serious transaction, and it's, not one that does not come with some expense. So if you've been looking for a long time and you're feeling like, that other person on the other side that's with you, maybe it's the parent or another significant other, maybe they're just not quite there yet and you might need to take a little break. And like I always say, regroup. I know that that's not always something that people want to hear, but sometimes that could be making buying harder than it really needs to be. People really never believe me when I say this, but You have to be really careful about what you say when you're touring a property. You have to remember, as soon as you walk onto that property, in many cases, people have cameras, and trust me, sellers, they go back and listen to everything everybody says. From standing at the doorbell, ringing the doorbell and their Ring doorbell, to actually walking through the property, even their listing agent, if they're there, they're listening. So just be really careful. You don't want people to know that you really like the property. And you definitely don't want them to hear you say negative things. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm just going to say a lot of negative stuff so they don't think I like the property. Bad idea. Don't do that. It's better just to be quiet because no one can hear you. They don't know what you're thinking and they don't know if you like it or if you don't like it. And, mum's the word. Just go in and be quiet. Look at the property. If you like it, we'll talk about it later, far away from the property and all the cameras. Skipping pre-approvals, not getting approved, and not understanding what it really takes in terms of cost to purchase a property. Yes, you will have down payments, but you will also have closing costs and other fees, and then of course your ongoing fees of owning the property. So skipping a pre-approval is a really bad idea because we could actually be looking at properties in the wrong price point. We might even be looking at properties in a price point where you don't actually even want to pay. Maybe the insurance costs too much in that area with the mortgage and the HOA fees and everything else included. A good, strong pre-approval letter with a really good idea about how much it actually costs to buy in that area, and then of course the ongoing cost to own that property every single month and year is a really important thing to know in advance. That way we can build a property search around what you're comfortable buying, and you can actually spend time looking at properties that you want to buy. There's nothing worse than being caught off guard about the actual expense of owning that property in order to actually buy it, the down payment, and then the ongoing monthly fee. So let's talk about that and have that organized in advance. Otherwise, it just makes it really, really hard to buy in today's market. It's not done until it's done. This is really important to know because a lot of times people will go under contract and they think, all right, that's it. I'm buying the house. I'm putting in my notice for my lease and we're out of here. But you have to really be careful because there are a lot of steps that are involved in buying real estate, and sometimes it does not always go well. So you have to be really, really careful, and you also have to be a little bit flexible going into it. There are many times when some of our buyers will actually go into a property, make an offer, go under contract, start the inspection process, and then realize the property is not for them. Then when we regroup and then they go out and look again and then they find, the house that they actually really want to buy. So this process, you have to be a little bit flexible, very patient, and you have to let things kind of take their course so you can do your due diligence and you can feel comfortable buying that property. So don't get really caught off guard when it comes down to buying because sometimes it can take some time and there are a lot of little things that can come up that can prevent the sale from actually going through. So I think this is a great topic, one that people don't really like to talk about a lot because sometimes people do make buying real estate a little bit harder than it needs to be. But I think sometimes you just need to take a step back and see, are you, really focusing on the nice to haves, but the must haves are right there. Maybe your partner or your family member is just not in it 100%. Maybe you don't understand the market data all that well. Or maybe you're just making really bad offers. There's a lot to take into consideration, but we're always here to be a resource for you, and we can resolve all of this with a really good strategy session before you get started. My name's Jamey Prezzi. This is my husband, Ognjen Prezzi. You can find us online on Instagram at The Prezzis. We're always here to be a resource for you, and we will see you soon.